Bro, welcome to the show. Welcome to the conversation. What's good? We got
Awesome.
our guy, Josh Waxman here. And introduce yourself.
Cool. Well, we met through Miami, man, and we've talked a little bit, but I haven't really shared my full story with you. But I'm from Philly originally. Grew up in the Philly cheesesteak business.
I was just in
Philly
Philly.
Cheesesteaks. I know. You went in an event over there?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was hosting Haitian CEOs Blueprint Summit.
Cool.
Like 500 people. Derek Whiteman was there. Miss Regine was there. Laverne was there. It was crazy, bro. Like nuts, bro. $1 million on the spot funding.
Nice.
I had a great time hosting.
What was the purpose of it?
To get people structured, to get people funding, to get
Cool.
people better credit. But go ahead.
But from Philly, grew up in the Philly cheesesteak biz. As a kid, my whole life, all I wanted to do was open up Philly cheesesteak spots. Ended up coming down to University of Miami. Left college to go open up some Philly cheesesteak spots, and that was what I always wanted to do, and that's what I did. I was 21 years old when I did that, but it kind of comes back to like even just the fact that I wanted to be in Miami has to do with the fact that I wanted to get the heck out of Philly. It's too cold. Parents got divorced when I was 13. Didn't want to deal with all that stuff anymore. I was like, I'm out of here, going to Miami, and that's how I came down here originally.
And how long ago was that?
That was 2014. I graduated high school. I went to college for 2 years at I studied finance for a year, and I was like, I'm not gonna be doing like standard deviations and stuff anymore. And then I switched to management, and then I was in a class. I was in management 304. It was about organizational behavior, and I started writing about leaving school. Then I went home for Thanksgiving break, and my dad's friend had just opened up a Philly cheesesteak spot at Lee's Hoagie House. That was like the franchise we were part of. And he was complaining to me nonstop. Like I just wanted to go get my cheesesteak, and he was complaining about how annoying it was. And I was like, let me buy you out then. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'll drop out of college if we make a deal right now. So we sat down, we made a deal, and I finished the next semester and then dropped out of college at I went and bought the store from him at Temple University in Philly.
So you bought a Philly cheesesteak store?
Yes.
As a college dropout in Philly?
Yes.
How did that go?
It went great. It was the purchase was unique. I didn't have any money.
Okay.
So, and he wouldn't sell it to me for anything less than $225,000 because that's what he put into it. He just wanted to get his money back. He had $180,000 of debt from the food vendors and Pepsi and all the paper products, and he borrowed money from his friend for $100,000. And so I was like, listen, I'll take on all the debt and I'll go get a line of credit. I went to every single bank in the area. The most money that somebody would give me was $24,500. So I was still $25,000 short. So he said, fine, work for me for a year as my general manager for free. And then I'll deduct $25,000 off of the purchase price.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I worked for a year for free. He had to like give me some cash sometimes to pay my rent. And all I ate was the food at the restaurant. And all I did was work and work out and sleep. And that's all I did for like a year. And then I bought 5% of the store with like the $5,000 that I had. And then like a couple months later, I bought the rest of it.
Yo, that's crazy. And how old were you?
I was 21. I was 20 when I dropped out of college. I was 21. I just had turned 22 when I bought the store a couple months previously.
And how long did you have the store for?
I had the store for 5 years.
For 5 years?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
Was it profitable?
It was profitable, but I had all this debt.
From previous.
So like the way, if you take off the debt, we were profitable. But I had, because what happened, I opened up another store 9 months later, and I also didn't have any money. So I went and raised money from investors in New York. My financial advisor hooked me up with like another group of investors, and I raised money. And then I got I don't know why or how, but American Express gave me a loan for $100,000. It was $100,000 paying back at 13% for a year. So I paid $100,000 paying back $113,000 in a year, which it was like $10,845 a month.
That's crazy.
So I was paying like $13,000 a month in total of debt, which is like $170,000 a year. but my business was doing about 150, 170. So I was kind of breaking even on the books, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't put any money in my pocket at all whatsoever.
So how did you eat? How did you survive? How
I
did you
ran a
live?
restaurant, so I ate all the food at the restaurant. That's literally all I had to cheat, dude. I had eggs every morning. I would go to the food store because I had a restaurant. I would buy 15 dozen eggs, and that's all I had in my fridge. So I'd eat eggs for breakfast, and then I would be at the store for lunch and have a hoagie, and then be at the store for dinner and have a cheesesteak, and then I'd go home and go to bed and wake up and do it all over
So that
again.
that's funny. Yeah, that's crazy. First of all, congrats on that. Not a lot of 21-year-olds would drop out of school and you know buy a restaurant. And let me ask you this question before I get into how we even start the show. What what was it like dropping out of school, bro? Because for me, it's one of those things where I went to college. I went for 4 years. I went for
Yeah,
5 years. I got a 4 year degree and like most of my master's done. Played 5 years college basketball, but I went to school for free,
yeah,
so I didn't have any debt.
yeah,
But I still went to college.
yeah,
Well, what are your views on people going to college? I guess since we're talking about it, first
yeah.
of all, you went to the worst school history. You should have went to the Florida Gators, University of Florida,
You
because I am a
baby,
Gator.
you baby.
But no, I'm just
I had
kidding.
a good time at the UF one time.
But what are your thoughts on especially today, like drop out of school and do you need to go to college? Do you have to go to college? Is it necessary? If you do go, what should you do? Should you incur debt? What does that look like for you?
Well, that's a great question. I was just telling you I was at an event last night and like I had a whole presentation ready. It was called the Young Business Summit, and so I thought everybody would be like 20 to 35.
Right.
Everyone was in high school, so I
Uh
had to like totally shift, and they were asking me all these questions like that too. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm engaged now. I'm like so that's me now.
huh.
But I feel for my own self, I had to like be a degenerate for a couple of years to get it out of my system. So
Mm.
I had to go have a University of Miami experience.
Right.
So if you're going to go to college today and you're going to study business or something that doesn't require a degree necessarily, then go have the best freaking experience possible. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something else, then like I don't know that conversation. I would, and you got to go to school.
Right.
Like
You
you
gotta
have to
go to
go to
school.
school, but that's not the path that I took, so I can't speak to it. I think it's important to have a really good time if you go to a college like UF or or any college. But at the same time, I lived in the frat house. I would lock myself in my room in the frat house and read Think and Grow Rich and
Right.
read Rich Dad Poor Dad and fill out my goals every single day. So I was good enough discipline wise to be able to handle it. Some of my friends were not and did not and didn't work out well. But if you're going to go to college, I believe you should enjoy yourself if
Yep.
you're going to go. I don't think I would be the same or have the same mindset if I didn't go to college. I kind of came out of my shell in college. It's a time to get away from your family. It's a time to like become a new person. Like I remember there was this one kid, he was cool in high school and I wasn't that cool in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then in college it kind of like flipped.
Right.
And I feel like in college you can be a totally different person and you can start a new human being of yourself. Like, so I think it's important to go and have a great freaking time and do all the fun that you possibly can, and then like find an opportunity and go all in at it.
You know what I call college? I call college the ultimate networking experience.
Cool.
Because when I went to college, when I was going, I wasn't incurring debt, but and I put on the basketball team. But at the same time, I use it as a tool to get to know as much people as I can. I
Yeah.
wasn't in a frat, but I was hanging out with the frats. I wasn't, in any of these really groups because I had my own basketball group, but I was
Yeah.
still networking with people that, till this day, I some of my closest friends are from college,
Yeah.
and it's because if you go, you should definitely use it as a networking experience. But listen, though, this is how you really start the show. We ask everybody on our pod or on our show or during this conversation, if you can go back 10 years ago from this moment, however how old you are now, and tell yourself anything or a
Hmm.
few things or a lot of things, what would that be?
If I could go back 10 years from now, I would have just been graduating high school. I would have I would have said to myself, I'm 28 now, I would have been 18. I would say trust the process and know that you're always being led to where you're supposed to be. Like Like, were you in the room when Mike Tyson was talking the other day? It was interesting because Grant was asking him, what if you never met Customato? What happens if you didn't? What if you chose to play football instead of boxing? And Mike Tyson was like, listen, that would have never happened. I was supposed to do everything is preordained by God. I was supposed to be exactly where I was supposed to be at every moment in my past, all the way up to this moment right here, right now with you. And so I feel like I would have just said, just relax a little bit, trust the process, trust God, trust where you're going without being so hard on yourself, and be okay with whatever path you're being led on. I don't think, like, if somebody said, what if you didn't go to college? Mike Tyson would have been like, I wouldn't have not gone to college. I was supposed to go to college.
Right.
Like, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. So that's what I would just say, trust the process. You're right where you're supposed to be. Everything will be okay, and live your life.
I know what I'd have told myself.
What would you have said?
I would have said, invest in cryptocurrency, invest in Bitcoin, go work as many jobs, trade as much currency as you can to go invest in Bitcoin. That's one of the things I would have said. So starting back from, you having this Philly cheesesteak store. You already talked about the experience. What was next after that?
Sure. Yeah, next after that, so I opened up one store, then I opened up another store, and then I was at a franchise conference in September of 2019, and I brought one of my general managers, and we were in the bathroom. We were both pissing at the urinals. Okay. And I said to him, yo, how cool would it be if somebody could give us $5 million and help us buy out the rest of the franchise? And I kid you not.
So it was more than one store?
There are 14 locations.
Okay.
I owned 2. Okay. My dad started working there in high school and then ended up owning a couple and became a partner in the franchise.
Okay.
Like, I grew up in it.
Okay.
But I also left. I opened up the first franchise. It was licensed up to the point. Right. Which means that, like, they all did things differently. So, like, my whole thing was always to, like, make them like McDonald's or Panera, or make them consistent.
Makes sense.
Because it wasn't.
Right.
They had different colors. It's like if you went to McDonald's and one was blue and yellow instead of red and yellow, you'd be like, what the heck? That's how it is at Lee's Hoagie House. They're different colors and everything. Different logos. It's weird. They're just the same name. But I was in the bathroom and I said, yo, how cool would it be if somebody could give us $5 million and help us buy the franchise and grow it all over the country? And some old dude flushes the stall, comes out of the bathroom and gave me his business card and said, call me. And it was the first CEO of Jiffy Lube, like the oil change place.
Right.
And it happens that the CDO of Jiffy Lube, like the guy that does all the real estate, he grew up eating at my dad's store.
Chief Development Officer.
Yeah, did all the real estate, Chief Development Officer, found all the locations. He grew up eating at Lee's Hoagie House. So he, me, and the other guy met every single Tuesday for like 6 months, from September 2019 to February, trying to buy the franchise. We offered $1 million. They wanted 1.8. We offered 1.2. They wanted 1.65. We offered 1.3. They wanted moved from 1.65, and it didn't make any sense. So they emailed me February 22nd, 2020, and said, never mind, we want to keep it within our family. We're not going to sell the franchise. That was my whole dream, my whole life, is to buy the whole thing and grow it all over. Luckily, I didn't buy 14 locations in Philadelphia in February 2020 because 2 weeks later, COVID happened. And so everything was shut down. There were all the laws that you can't go in and out of the city. I'm not into all that type of stuff, whatever, not politically, but like I don't care about politics, but for my own sake and my own freedom, like I'm the guy that's not wearing a mask. I'm getting yelled at on the street for not wearing a mask. People come into my store and they're like, yo, you're supposed to wear a mask. And I'm like, why do we need to wear a mask? It's fine. Don't worry. Come on in. Like, that was my mentality. And then there were the protests, and like all the George Floyd protests were on the art museum stairs. Like, you know where Rocky runs up?
Yeah.
It was like right there. And I lived across the street. My one store was like 10 minutes this way. My other store was 10 minutes that way. And it was Saturday, May 30th. Like, I remember, like, we were so dead. Like, I sent my guy home at like 12:30. It was
like no business.
No business. Like, nobody was coming in. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I know it's COVID, but there's no Grubhub orders. There's no DoorDash. There's no Uber Eats. I'm working by myself. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I closed my store at 6:30. I was like, this is annoying. I don't even need to be here. And I walked, and like I lived here. Center City is here, and my store is here. So I have to walk through like where all the stuff is, right? And I walked home, and all the riots started happening while I was walking home. So I'm standing on the corner of the street where like I'm watching people throw bricks into Foot Locker and run in there and steal all this stuff. And I saw somebody go into like Urban Outfitters was on fire, and people are throwing bricks here and laughing and grabbing stuff, and it was crazy in Philly, bro.
Wow.
And I'm 24 years old, little white dude walking through the streets. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I'm scared for my life.
Because you have a store also.
Yeah, and I have a store.
Two stores.
And I was freaking out. I went like a really long way around the whole city, and I got home. Then I got a call 2 hours later from the cops that my store got looted in Philadelphia. Then I went to the store at like the next morning, and they were on the camera. There's like 8 little kids that threw bricks through the windows and stole all the stuff. And May 31st is my mom's birthday. So I was like, all right, it's my mom's birthday. The riots are going on. Just close the store. I'm done. Like I called some guy. He boarded up my stores, and I just had lunch with my mom. And I was like, I'm out of the city. And then a couple days later, I made a post on social media, and it said, when you live in love and peace, there's no reason to protest. There's no reason to riot. There's no reason to be violent. We should all learn to love each other. Like this doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your situation is, what your parents do, what your color is, what your gender is, what your anything is. Anyone can be successful.
Right.
And I posted that like on that Wednesday. And I woke up on Thursday with hundreds of posts, of comments, of screenshots. You don't know what you're talking about. You're white privileged. You're an asshole. You're insensitive. You don't get it. And I didn't know what to do. And it was very scary.
Yo, let me ask you this question.
And I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm open about it today.
Nah, it's good. I like where this is going. I appreciate you being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But how was it being a store owner during those times?
It was tough. I mean, you know what was interesting? Our business really didn't drop that much. We just went from like people coming in to all Grubhub. Like, dude, our machine would just print out orders from DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff like that. Yeah, like it was, but it was challenging. I was like, what do I do? I mean, me and my boy Jason, we would go to my house every day after work, and we would brainstorm on other businesses to open up. Like we were like, how can we get out of this and do something else?
I think everybody was like that.
Yeah.
How do we make money a different way? Really online too.
Yeah. It was interesting. And I started in that flow. I started like 3 businesses. I just started 3 LLCs while all this stuff was going on.
Right.
Yeah. To like do online coaching and online products, and then an events and promotions company. Like all started like May 2020. That Wednesday after the riots happened, that riots were like May 30th, May 31st. I was like, everybody take the week off. Like people were scared to go to work. So I was like, just take off. That Wednesday I made that post. And Thursday I woke up and like 400 comments overnight. And most of the people are people I went to high school with. Most of the people are people that were like, I knew. And it was like, what the heck? Like I've always been the little bit of an outspoken, anti-establishment, why am I doing this? I want to be successful kind of guy. But now it's like people that like I grew up with are commenting. So now I'm like at my mom's house crying all day, don't know what to do. Everyone's calling me, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And that day, I don't know if you remember, but Drew Brees said something that was like,
oh yeah,
out of line a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was happening, and what happened with me was happening at the same time. And then I made me and my mom helped me like write an apology for social media, and I made an apology and posted it the next day.
Okay.
And then people are like, oh, that's so inconsiderate. That's all bullshit. You don't really feel that way. And I was like, this is my childhood dream. I'm about to buy the franchise. And then that was Thursday. Friday, I'm literally sitting at home crying all day with my mom. Saturday, I get an email that they're terminating my franchise agreements for defamation of the brand.
Wow. That's crazy.
Dude, some people are writing like, let's drag this white boy out to the streets. Like, some people are like, don't support Lee's Hoagie House. They're racist. And I'm like, I played football my whole life. I played sports my whole life. I'm like, not that way at all
Right.
whatsoever. Like, 90% of the people in the restaurant industry, in my store, I live in North Philadelphia. Like, can you stop?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I felt. And I was like, did I really do something wrong? And then I started questioning everything in my life. Like, if all these people think this thing about me, maybe I did say something wrong. Maybe I am inconsiderate. Maybe I am these things, and I didn't know what to do. And so I just told my people to take off. And then I came and I stayed. That Sunday, I said, F it, and and I went to Miami. And I stayed at the Royal Palm Hotel in South Beach at
Right.
15th.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stayed at the pool by myself all day. And I meditated and I prayed and I meditated and I prayed and I went to the gym and I worked out and I went to the pool and I went by myself, and all I did for 5 days straight was pray and meditate and go to the pool, and I talked to nobody. I left my phone upstairs and I did nothing. And then that Friday night, I met this couple at the pool, and like I really didn't talk about this for years. So like I didn't tell anybody I'm here on vacation by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited me out to dinner with them. I like the third wheel out to dinner. And I'm sitting on the balcony getting ready, and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi sold a course, like how to create your own course. It was like the Knowledge Broker Blueprint or something like that. And then I bought a Tony Robbins course on the Friday night after all this stuff happened. And I just, all day Saturday at the hotel, I created a whole course and created a course to teach young people how to achieve their dream. Because like my whole childhood dream was to own my own Lee's Hoagie House, and I was 21 years old, and I did. And so I was like, what do I know how to do, or what did I do better than anyone that I know? And it's I had a dream, and I focused on it. And like if you ask anyone I grew up with what Josh Waxman's gonna do when he's older, they would say he's gonna own Lee's Hoagie House. So like that was my dream. That's what I did. That's what when I dropped out of college, because that was my childhood dream. Like, why would I go to school for another year? I only had one more year. I went to college for 2 years, but I had a whole year of AP credits and stuff like that. So I only needed one more year. But that was my childhood dream, and that's what I did. So I created a course around it and created the Infinite Success Company. And then I called all my employees, and I had everybody come meet me at the store that Sunday night. I was like in Miami for a week, from Sunday to Sunday morning. I flew home, and I had all my employees at the store Sunday night, and I told them that I love them and I'm sorry, but I'm closing my stores and I'm moving to Miami, and I'm out.
And this time we get here. What year was this?
June 3rd, 2020, I made the post. July 3rd, 2020, I moved to South Beach.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy. So now that you've moved, you transitioned from Philadelphia to now Miami.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, so after that happened, I really don't talk about this a lot. After that happened, I went on a complete bender when I moved down here. Complete bender. Okay. Not good. Girls, drugs, fun, going out from like just for a month. And then I was FaceTiming with my little brother in my fraternity, and he had been sober for 2 years. And I was crying and talking to him about what happened. He's telling me he loves me, and he said, will you just go to a meeting? Will you go talk to somebody? Mm-hmm. And so August 12th, I got sober, and I would spend all day long. I didn't have a job. I was selling this course online. I didn't do anything. And I would spend all day long at the beach reading, working on myself, meditating, praying for like 4 months in a row. From like July to October, that's all I did. And then 2 of my mentors both said, go get a sales job. And I was like, I'm not getting a job. Job stands for the journey of the broke. Just over broke. Right. And they were like, go get a job. So I got a job. I got a sales job. And my second month, I made $11,900 and change. And I haven't ever made less than 10 grand.
All right, well, you can't just roll over that. So you got a sales job, no sales experience. I guess you did have sales experience. Yeah. You owned your restaurant.
Kinda, right.
Wait, where did you have a sales job at?
I did loans at Capital Infusion in
Like mortgage
Brickell.
loans?
No, like MCA, cash advances, term loans, lines of credit.
And you made 11,000 your first month.
Yeah, my first month, I made $2,000 because it was $500 a week on salary.
Okay.
And my boss messaged me on Microsoft Teams and said, "Hey, just FYI, you made $2,000 because you're new. If you were hybrid, you would have made like 6,200, and if you were full commission, you would have made 10,200 and whatever." So I went into his office immediately, and I was like, "Yo, take me off of salary, put me on commission." The reason I wanted to go on salary, dude, I was still paying rent for my 2 stores that were closed. I was still paying all that debt. I don't know how. I blocked everyone. I tell some people this too. I blocked everyone that I owed money to. I blocked Citizens Bank. I blocked Penn Community Bank. Blocked their phone number. Blocked their email. Got a Miami number. No one had my number. Blocked everybody. Like, I didn't know what to do. How am I supposed to pay $15,000 a month in debt with no cash flow?
Mm.
Like that was what I was. So I just said, I'm done. Like, and I told everyone. I called all my investors and I said, this is what happened. I don't have any money. You're just gonna have to wait. Like, what do you want from me? And my coach Jeffrey Combs said, you're not gonna declare bankruptcy. You're gonna outproduce your problems, and you're gonna make this happen. And you're gonna pay everybody out because you're a man of your word.
Mm.
And you're gonna go get a job, and you're gonna make 6 figures.
And this is what we're leading to the sales.
And then I applied for 22 jobs. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was September 22nd, 2020. And I was praying in the morning, and God said, go work for somebody else. I already gave you your childhood dreams. Stop trying to do more. Go work for someone else and help them grow their business. And so I applied for 22 jobs on Indeed. I had like 3 offers. You know Brandon Burchard, the coach guy, the High Performance Habits book? Yeah, I could have, like, it came down to, like, do I be a coach for his company or just go sell loans? And I was like, again, now I'm going back to coaching people and teaching people, and I just lost everything. Like, why am I going to coach anybody? Like, I need coaching. So I went and got a job, and I worked my frickin' butt off, and I made 400 calls a day, every single day. Like, no, the script was this whole long thing. All I did was call everybody. Hey, do you need money for your business? Hey, do you need money for your business? No, bye. Hey, no, bye. Hey, like, that was all I did. All day, every day. And then I transitioned from my second month from salary to commission, and I made 11 grand. And then that was the end of 2020. I made my first 6 figures in my pocket in 2021. And I just worked my butt off.
You know, you said something very interesting. Even in the beginning of this, you said, stop trying to, you said God told you to go work for somebody else and help build somebody else's vision. And I believe that in order to build our own vision or have our own vision, we have to help somebody else reach their vision and be a part of something.
Absolutely.
And it's like if you want to bring it back to the Bible, Jesus built his Father's vision, and he really had to sacrifice himself in order to build that vision.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important for us to understand, because in life, especially in business, especially in entrepreneurship, especially when you're building relationships or you're in the relationship building world, which is really any industry or any part of our life, you know, we have to really sacrifice. Like, sometimes you have to sacrifice what we want for the betterment of the group.
Correct.
You know, sacrifice, you know, what we feel is right for the betterment of the group. And I think if we understand that more, we would get a lot further, because you have to build somebody else's vision, because it gives you leverage as well.
Yes.
I've helped this person, or I was a part of this organization. Sometimes everybody wants to be number 1 of nothing,
right,
instead of being number 10 of something that's fruitful.
Absolutely. I think there's time for both.
100%.
I think there's time to be an entrepreneur and time to be an entrepreneur. I think there's time to be a mentor and time to be a mentee. I think you always have to have both.
You said, and then you also said that the guy who, for the $25,000 deducted to own the franchise, right?
Yeah.
You said that he made you work for free.
Yeah.
So that's even important too. Like, a lot of us, when we want something and we want to work with people at a higher level, we can't. There's not much we can offer them.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they're way above you. But you can always do more than what you're paid for, and then you'll eventually get paid for more than what you do.
Absolutely. My dad called it sweat equity.
100%.
As a kid, I would have to do like, I hated this. As a kid, I would go do like catering events with my dad, and he'd bring his employees and me. And he'd give them a $50 bill, and he'd give them a $50 bill, and he'd be like, thanks, Josh, and just tap me on the shoulder. And I'm like, he's like, this is what you have to do to build to build the character of what it takes to be successful. And yeah, you gotta put sweat equity. Like you, somebody asked me last night at the event, what would you say to somebody that wants to get rich quick? And I said, stop thinking like that.
Right.
That's
There's no
it.
such thing.
But what would you say is the best way to get rich quick? And I said,
Complete a lotto.
stop. Yeah,
Even when you
don't
play the
get rich
lotto, you
quick.
don't get rich quick because it
Yeah.
takes years to win
Yes.
and a lot of money. So you made $11,000
Yeah.
because you switched salary based from salary based not to hybrid but to full time commission.
Yeah.
And so how was that having $11,000 in your pocket? Maybe not for the first time, but in a time where you really needed it, where you were still paying your debts, you were transitioning.
Yeah.
You were in Miami, you were trying to figure out your way, you were really trying to run from your problems, which a lot of us do.
Yeah.
But what was that like? Maybe still running from your problems, but also while you're running, trying to find solutions. Like while you're running the marathon, trying to find some water, so you can keep on going. How was that, bro?
Well, it was interesting because I had to make at least 15 grand just to pay my bills for my stores that weren't even open.
Right.
So
so you had to pay for the stores even though.
Yes, because I was on a lease for my rent.
My
one landlord was cool about it. He just said, "Okay, I get it. I'll keep a running tally, and when you're ready, just pay me back." My other landlord sued me, so I had to manage all this stuff, and it was just come down to I had to work my butt off just to break even. But I was selling my clothes on Poshmark for $7. I would put my shirt on the floor, take a picture, flip it over, take a picture, and sell it for $9. And somebody would offer me $4, and I'd be like, all right, fine. And I was doing whatever it took to make money. I sold everything that I had. I found one of my ex-girlfriend's Michael Kors watches in some random bag that I had, sold it for $45. I don't know. I just sold everything that I possibly could, and all I had was a bed and a desk and some books and a 32-inch TV on the kitchen island. And I lived in a little studio apartment, and I worked my butt off. But I didn't really it didn't really feel,
because once you made it, it was right.
It was gone. It wasn't until 2020, end of 21, 22, I got blessed. I had about $400,000 of debt left in total.
That sounds like a lot, but it's really not based on where you were, huh?
It's fine. I had $400,000 in debt, and I literally got approved for the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, for exactly $395. So I went from paying $11,000 a month to paying $2,500 a month.
Look at God.
And so it wasn't. I still have that debt for the next 27 years, but instead of it crushing me, I got saved. I say God saved me for sure. It was literally exactly how much money. It was just a full refinance. I just, instead of paying 12% interest due in 3 years, I'm paying 3% interest, and I have 30 years. And it was whew. I took a deep breath. I paid everybody back. I called every bank. I called every investor. Well, how much do I owe you? What's the running tally? Boom. Write a check, send it. Write a check, send it. Write a check, send it. And I was done. And now the only people I owe money to is the SBA.
Wow. But at 3% over 30 years.
At 3.75% for 30 years. So it's $25.13 a month.
So now, how long were you at this sales jobs for?
I was at the sales job from October 5th, 2020. Dates are important to me. October 5th, 2020, I started. And then July of 2022, I had an incident happen at work. There was a deal at work. There was a lead that came in. There was a lead that came in, and it got sent to me. And I called them, and I scheduled a meeting with them. Right? They wanted money for their business. That same lady called into the 1-800 number. And then that went to someone else. So we both had a duplicate lead. I closed the client for $500,000 in funding, which was a big commission for me. And I didn't know that the other guy was also working the lead. And he came in the next morning late to work. It was somebody that he was good at sales too, but he was always partying and always going out, and I was sober and I wasn't doing anything. And he would always make money but then blow it. And we were in a meeting, and he was questioning me and saying that I always, all I care about is making money, and that I'm slimy and that I did it behind his back on purpose. And I was like, dude, I didn't do that. Like, I wouldn't do that. I'll split the money with you right now. And he was like, I don't believe you. And so I was like, I'm out of here. And I went into my office because I had an office. I was a manager at this company after a year. And then he came into my office and followed me in there and said, why won't you talk to me about this? Why didn't you talk to me? And I was like, dude, it was like July 29th, 2022. And I was like, I'm not having this conversation, bro. It's the last day of the month. It was a Friday. I'm closing deals. I'll talk to you later. And he spit at me.
Oh man.
And it went on my chair. Luckily missed me. It went on my chair right behind me. I wheeled the chair into the meeting, into my boss's office, and I was like, I'm out of here. And then I quit that business and I called this guy, Jonathan Mason, who's a co-founder of Patrick Bet-David's insurance company with Patrick. And I knew him through my business coach. And I said, I want to get my life insurance license and work with you. What do I have to do? And that was July 29th. I got licensed 8/8/20, so August 8th, so like a week later. And that's how I got into insurance.
That's crazy. That's amazing. But I mean, honestly, the journey from where you were to now, you went through the situation in Philadelphia, owning a store, then going through your transition, and then coming to Miami, and still having to pay those debts off, having to pay people a lot of money, right? But then still having the fortitude to to listen to somebody, right, who God probably put them in your ear to say, go work this sales job. Probably somebody you trusted or somebody you knew. You got this sales job. You started making some money, and then you got the loan, right? Which I look at life as like a loan. A lot of times people, it's crazy because people loan us their time, people loan us their knowledge. And it's like, we don't have to cash that in right away.
Yeah.
We can use it. And then once we become who we become, as you did, then we pay them back, in retrospect. So that's I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And that's amazing. So now the insurance game, because the insurance game is, the life insurance game specifically is something that, I believe we all need to, be knowledgeable about, especially people that look like me or that come from where we come from, people who aren't, of the 1%, 5%, 10%, of the 20%, 30%. And so how did you get into life insurance? And I guess, what is the benefit of life insurance?
Sure. I mean, I got into life insurance because my coach, Jeffrey Combs, I've been coaching with him since I was 18, and he runs an event in California, and he brought this guy, Jonathan Mason, who was one of the co-founders of PHP Agency with Patrick. Mm-hmm. He was speaking about stuff, and I've been studying money and reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and Think and Grow Rich since I was in high school, but he was talking about stuff that I didn't know about. It was like, I felt like it was one of the only areas of money I didn't really know. And I was like, I want to do whatever the heck you're doing. I need to learn this stuff. And it really was like that day that happened at work. I called him as soon as I got home and I said, what do I have to do? And he said, go get your license. And so that's how I got into the business. And then I flew out to Las Vegas for their company convention, and I just had gotten licensed, and I was given some special VIP treatment, and I was at the table at the Hakkasan with Patrick Bet-David. And so talking to Patrick made me serious about life insurance.
So how was that conversation like with Patrick Bet-David?
Yeah, so right before the conversation was,
because he's no small guy.
No, and we're at the Hakkasan, and I'm Miami guy, and at Capital Infusion was kind of like Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
We partied a lot. We had a good time. We went out a lot. And so then I go to this event, and all these guys are older, and I'm about to order like all these shots for all these people and try to be the man. And John was like, "Yo, we don't do that here."
Culture change. Culture shift.
And I was like, "Okay." And then right after that, Patrick walks in, and John's like, "Come with me." And he walks me over, and on this table is Matt Sapala, who's the number one income earner. He makes $2-3 million a year. John makes $1-2 million a year, and then Patrick. And so John's like, "Yo, come here." We tap Patrick on the shoulder. He's like, "Yo, I want you to meet this guy, Josh. He's in Miami. He's going to open up an office in Miami." And I like literally just got licensed. I don't even know what he's talking about. And he was like, "Talk to him." And so Patrick was like, "What are you receiving from this event?" And I was like, "I just know I'm in the right place at the right time with the right people." And I'm looking him like dead in the eye. And then like we had like a staring for like 30 seconds. It may have been 5, but it felt like a minute. It's like staring, no words. And then he turns to John and says, "Yo, this guy's gonna be a killer." That was our whole conversation. And I came home and I threw away everything in my house. Like no more alcohol out of my house, no more nothing. I gave everything away. I stopped cold turkey just like that. After that conversation with Patrick, and it would just changed everything for me. I was like, it was like a serious thing. Like this guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars knows that I and believes that I and is now relying on me to be a killer in his business.
And
And
even if he didn't, even if he really didn't mean it, it doesn't
yeah,
matter because he
yes,
said it.
yeah,
So when somebody of that caliber invokes that type of
yes,
confidence, that's crazy.
yeah, and
That's
then
amazing.
that was cool. And then like I was still doing loan. I ended up negotiating to do loans from home. I still had leads and I still had clients, and but now I'm calling all my clients and saying, "Hey, I expanded all my services. I do life insurance now too. Would you be open to me sitting down?" So I'm like kind of talking to both everybody about loans and talking to everybody about life insurance. But with loans, I mean, like, you know, in that business, you're putting people in debt. There are people that can't go to the bank to get loans. There are a lot of people that want to get funding that can't get funding. I believe that it's important for people to get funding to keep their business open. But frankly, if you don't have the finances and you don't have the credit and you can't stay in business, maybe you should be closed rather than going to get funding. Even though there's a lot of credit companies and lending companies, from my experience, I think that there's a lot of companies that instead of keep going deeper and deeper and deeper just to survive, maybe it's important to close and start something new because it's not working. And if you have 500 credit and you're behind on your bills, that whatever you're doing isn't working. So maybe do something else. And
in order to get the cash flow up, in order to pay those things off.
Yeah.
Like how you went and did sales.
Yes. And maybe whatever your business is isn't a profitable business, and therefore you should close it. I just watched a video today on Instagram of Dan Pena. You know, like he's a kind of egomaniac, but he's good. He was like, there's so many business owners that shouldn't be in business. So I went from putting people in debt and like, you know, giving them 30% interest, 6-month loans to now I'm protecting their family. I'm building generational wealth. I'm teaching them about money that they didn't learn before. And I was like, all right, I don't have to like struggle for money anymore. And I stopped doing that altogether and I opened up an office in Miami, in Brickell.
Do you think that you can make clearer decisions in life when you're not struggling for money?
Yes, you can definitely make clearer decisions when you're not struggling for money, but you'll make quicker decisions when you are. If you also have a good mindset.
Because you're moving more urgency.
Yeah,
because
you'll be like, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes.
So it's like a double entendre in a sense.
Yeah. Like I just talked to some dude at the pool today. He was asking, he does like sales and he makes like 60 grand a year. He's asking me about our company, and I was telling him that people are making multiple 6 figures in our business. And then I asked him, how bad does he want to be successful? And he said, well, I have some real estate properties with my dad, so I have some passive income coming in. And then I knew he wasn't gonna work that hard.
Right. But everybody's not meant to, be a quote unquote entrepreneur, business owner, CEO, founder. Everybody we need people to work 9 to 5s, and sometimes that's okay.
Correct.
Everything isn't for everybody. Why is it important for everybody to have life insurance? Because this whole thing about, I don't know, man. My dad passed away in 2013, and my mom had to chase him around to try to get life insurance signed, his life insurance policy signed, and he felt as if he got his life insurance policy signed, then it would be a quicker way to his death. Because I think a lot of people think that like you're getting a policy out on me.
Interesting.
And it's people have that fear, but really and truly, if he would have had a life insurance policy when he passed away, me and my 6 brothers and sisters on his side of the family, we would have had a couple $100,000, close to $1 million of, money. Not saying that we wanted the money or we wanted him to pass away, but
yes,
the life he was living was conducive to, there was a chance.
Yes.
And so we could have been a lot further along as, as his seed. So I guess, why is life insurance important? The benefits of it
Sure.
for whatever race, whatever family, whatever age.
Yeah. I mean, life insurance is key. First off, I follow what the wealthiest people do, and I don't ask questions. They all have life insurance. They all have a trust. It all goes to their beneficiaries, and that's what they do. So I'm just gonna follow them because that's what the Rockefellers do. That's like my mindset. But for people that aren't like that, I've always been like a disciple of my mentors. And
Mm,
I just don't ask questions. But you get people pay $20 a month for phone insurance in case they drop their phone.
mm,
People pay hundreds of dollars a month for car insurance in case they get into an accident.
mm-hmm.
People pay hundreds of dollars for health insurance and they go to the doctor once a year for a checkup. People get insurance on a lot of things, but they don't get insurance on their life.
Mm,
And I think I was reading a book today at the pool, Brandon Dawson, the Cardone Ventures guy,
right.
right? And he was in there. He was saying that everybody wants to leave a legacy. Everyone wants to be remembered. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that if people wanted to really leave a legacy, then they would have life insurance. There's a lot of people that have the YOLO mindset, like you only live once, and who cares? I'm just gonna spend my money and do whatever. Like my parents weren't there for me, so I'm not gonna be there for my kids. Like they're gonna have to fend for themselves. I'm not in that mindset. Like, I think it's important for you to leave a legacy. And there's a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do by Garrett Gunderson. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a chapter in there called Instead of Building Your Net Worth, Buy It. Buy your net worth. How long is it going to take you to build a $10 million net worth as a young person? Right? How long does it take you to build a $10 million? It might take you 5, 10, 20 years to become worth $10 million. You can just get a $10 million life insurance policy, and if you get hit by a truck tomorrow, you left behind $10 million.
Bro, yo, that's so crazy you said that, because I was just at this conference in Philly, and Derek Whitehead, he helps people get millions of dollars of funding. He's like, why take 2 years to build your business, 3 years to build your credit profile, when you can go spend $700-800
Yeah.
and go buy a business that's been around for 10 years and go get funding right away?
Yep.
Same concept.
It
It's so
is.
crazy.
It is.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that hit home with me. Like literally, if I get hit by a truck when I'm walking home right now, even though I'm a block away, if I get hit by a truck when I walk home right now, I leave $9.5 million behind.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I think that's important. And over time, I'm gonna have to grow more and more and get bigger policy. But like that's number one is legacy. I mean, like your life is worth something. I think a lot of people don't think like they have such low self esteem that they don't value their own life. Like you need to value your life. Like you're here for a reason. You're meant to be here. You should leave money behind. You should leave a business behind. You should leave books behind and content behind. You should leave things behind so people knew who you are when you were here. That's why we're here on this earth. Like that's what we're supposed to do. And so there's no like literally the definition of legacy building is life insurance. Like that's how you leave legacy and put it in a trust and utilize it properly so you can build generational wealth. You're not going to be able to save your way to generational wealth. You can create a huge company like Cardone is, and then if Sabrina and Charlotte don't do anything with it, it might not go anywhere though. Like if his kids don't take it on, that might just be the end of it. And so the challenge is now like, what do you do to leave the world differently because you were here? And the easiest thing to do is to get life insurance because then you can dedicate $1 million to the University of Miami School of Entrepreneurship. You can dedicate $1 million to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. You can
To
leave
True Prep Academy, my
yeah,
parents' school, shameless
yeah,
plug.
yes, to school, to do whatever you really want to do. You can leave money behind in your will and your trust that says to do this with my money.
So now, how does somebody get to that $9.9 million insurance policy?
Yeah.
Or for the person who may not see even the benefits of life insurance or wants to know more, how do they get started?
Sure. I mean, number one, that the legacy is most important, and
Right.
and the challenge is we're sold on like this whole concept of buy term and invest the difference. I'm not into that. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked in the last 40 years. It worked in the 80s when interest rates were super high. I'm not into investing in anything because Warren Buffett's number one rule of money is never lose your money, and his number two rule of money is never lose your money, and his number three rule of money is never lose your money. So if you're investing, I know you're into crypto and forex and that stuff, but if you can lose your money, most the people I follow would say just don't even touch it. It's not about trying to get rich and trying to get wealth and go buy Bitcoin or whatever. It's like if you can wake up tomorrow and half of your net worth can be gone, don't do it. And so life insurance is the only place that you can have guaranteed money that will never go down ever, no matter what is going on in the economy.
And why is that?
Because that it precedes the whole economy. Life insurance has been around since the 1800s. The Federal Reserve started in 1913. Income taxes, 1913. So life insurance is older than the tax system. Life insurance is older than the Federal Reserve. So the whole monetary system in America and around the world, life insurance is older than it. And so it doesn't abide by tax laws. It's actually tax-free. You can grow your money tax-free. You can borrow money tax-free by taking policy loans out, which is where the infinite banking concept comes in. And then you can transfer wealth to your family tax-free, which is key. For most people, if you have $1 million in a 401k, as soon as you give that, as soon as you die and your kids take $1 million in the 401k, they have to pay taxes on it at ordinary income tax. They're going to have to pay 40% income taxes on there. So therefore, they're going to only be left with 600 grand. And life insurance is all tax-free money. And you can borrow money and create a whole new set of money just like banks do. You got 100 grand in cash over here in your cash value of your life insurance policy. When you go borrow, just like you're talking about with doing businesses, you go borrow money from life insurance company, it's not from your policy, it's not from yourself. Most people that talk about infinite banking are wrong, and I was wrong a year or two ago about how I talked about it too. You're not borrowing it from yourself. You're not borrowing it from your policy. You're not borrowing it from the cash value. Your cash is collateral, and you get a whole new set of money over here from the life insurance company. And so I literally just requested a $90,000 loan from my life insurance policy from the life insurance company so that I can use it to invest and grow the business. I got $89,513 coming on Monday or Tuesday.
That's incredible. So how does somebody use life insurance? You just said you can borrow from your life insurance policy.
Yes.
You have to explain that a lot more.
Sure. So you have to use high premium, dividend paying whole life insurance.
And now when you're saying this, I want you to be saying this. I know we're talking about the wealthy and whatnot, but remember 97% of the people, 95% of the people in the world are not the most wealthy. So we have to, I want to, when you explain this, explain it to those individuals.
Cool. Well, one of my favorite things that Grant Cardone says is if the zeros scare you, just take some zeros away.
Right.
It's all the same concept.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're talking about $1,000 a month or $1 million a month. The process is the same. And so like Nelson Nash is the guy that discovered the infinite banking process after being in life insurance for 35 years.
Right.
And he talks about using life insurance as your bank. It's not about being an investment vehicle. Life insurance is not an investment.
Mm-hmm.
When you get paid, all of your money goes into the bank. And then you spend money out of the bank. You should pivot that money and put it in life insurance first. Like if you actually, it's just hard to wrap your head around it. So that's why.
No, it's not hard to wrap your head around. We get it.
Not you, but instead of calling it life insurance, I like to call it your alternate bank.
Your alternate bank.
Yeah, just call it your alternate bank. So your money goes into the bank and you move it into your bank. That way, when you need money, you can call your bank and put it back into the bank so you can spend money and borrow money that way.
Right.
And so if you should put up to about 90% of your income into life insurance policy.